Hi guys, this is Adil again with another vlog. I am first of all very thankful to all of you who had watched my last vlog about the Canberra property updates, in which I discussed about lots of the factors going on in the Canberra market, and you liked, you subscribed to all different channels. Thank you so very much for that. So with this specific vlog, we need to discuss the most important question going on in the market right now, that why the rental market is down in Canberra, whereas all the other cities, especially Sydney and Melbourne and other big cities, are quite hard and hot to get any rental, like a property over there. And there are queues and queues and queues of tenants outside when there is any open home going on. So by the way, this was actually the situation of Canberra for the past many years in Canberra. As soon as any property came on the market, and what actually happens that people always jump on those properties and things were like completely out of control. So in this specific vlog, we need to discuss, and we will discuss most important things, that why is it happening here, and what are the factors behind that the Canberra property market is declining. So there are open homes, but the people are not coming, especially the tenants are not interested to rent a property, and the lease is not going on as it should be as compared to the last many years in the Canberra property market. So let's jump in. Number one, I was actually invited, and my group, the whole group of the Edge team, were invited in one of the most informative and very knowledgeable presentation of All Homes. And we were given the presentation in the All Homes main office in Canberra. And we were actually told what is going on in the Canberra rental market at the moment. So I will definitely discuss some of the pointers from that presentation, which makes you understand that what are the factors that the Canberra rental market is different compared to all of the rest of the cities. So the painful news, I would say, is Canberra is no longer Australia's most expensive city to rent a unit. I repeat, the painful news is Canberra was the most expensive city in the whole of Australia to rent an apartment or a house for quite some time. And unfortunately, by the All Homes presentation, we were informed that Canberra is no longer the most expensive city to rent a unit, and with that actually gone to, and that actually crowned to Sydney right now, that Sydney is the most expensive city to rent a unit. And we will definitely talk about the factors later, that what actually fueled that thing, that Canberra is no more the most expensive city. My next point. What is actually the rental yield in the houses and the apartments which are going on at the moment? So based on their presentation, they mentioned that the house yield in Canberra for the past, like since 2021, which is quite high, is 3.69% compared to the combined nationwide average of 3.57%. So Canberra is 3.69%, whereas the nation is 3.57% in only houses. Units are still higher. Units yield, and I would say that is 5.46% compared to the nation's is 4.84%. So why the Canberra market, or the Canberra rental market is declining? There are so many factors involved in that. One of the factor is the population growth decline. And there were so many reasons that people used to come to Canberra. And one of the most important reason of migrating into Canberra city is to get the points for your permanent residency if you're coming from any of the overseas countries. So Canberra is actually provide you a big shelter for those people who want to actually go through the point test and the table. So Canberra actually provides you, if you want to live here in Canberra, Canberra provides you 5 extra points. So that is actually a kind of change in the migration system. And Canberra, so many people used to come here. That's why the rental market was very, very, very powerful. And as the rental property comes into being, so you have to have the address where you are living, and you need to show to the immigration department that you are living at a certain address, and you have to be there. If you are moving around, that's fine, but you have to be in Canberra for the next 24 months. So there is a change in the migration system, and that's why people are actually going elsewhere. For example, I'm not too informed about that, but I just can tell you some rudimentary information about this migration. So if you are in Northern Territory, you still get more points if you are there. For example, if you are going to Tasmania, so Tasmania has more points if you are there. So Canberra was, I think, in 2014, 2013, 2012, 2016, 2017. So that was a time that Canberra was very, very powerful in compared to the other states. And Sydney students or Sydney migrants, they used to come here, Melbourne, Brisbane, all those people used to come here and they used to live here because they thought like it's the best city in terms of so many things. And the thing is, it can provide you the permanent residency. My second point, why the Canberra property market is declining. The university students are constantly falling. So there are, technically there are more than 2 universities, but normally people always talk about 2 big universities. By the way, I studied from University of Canberra, so I really like that university. So there are 2 big universities in Canberra. One is UC, University of Canberra, and the other one is ANU, Australian National University. So these 2 university students are constantly declining. They are not as compared to the last 2 years ago or 4 years ago. International students are not coming in those numbers which it was used to be for the past many years. Another factor of the rental market decline in the unit category, not in houses, because Canberra is no more the most expensive city compared to the units as the houses. So one of the factors is university has also constructed their own accommodation also in ANU and UC. So ANU and UC have created so many student accommodation, and students prefer to live on campus rather than off campus. On campus means you have to have your own parking, and there are so many factors they are providing to the students, and the students really like it, and they want to be the part of the university so that they wake up, they can go to any lecture anytime, they can study, they can actually go to their own dorm rooms and stuff. So there is a lot of accommodation right now in ANU and UC. That's one of the factors of the declining of the Canberra rental market. My 4th most important point is the cost of living. Canberra has been, and Canberra will be the most expensive capital city in Australia. It's very expensive. So if you are living in Canberra compared to Sydney and Melbourne, you find Canberra cost of living or Canberra per capita income is pretty high. Why is that? Because People are mostly in the public services. I have to be very careful in my words, not all of them, but most of the people are in the public services. They have very, very good salaries and they can afford to live here. And compared to if you are a public servant in Sydney or in Melbourne, so I don't know about it, like technically speaking. But the thing is, I have been informed that Canberra salaries are much, much better. My last point is, what is going on for the house rent and what is going on like the unit rents right now. So the last point is, the 2-bedroom house rent right now in Canberra is $550 per week. 3-bed is $650 and 4-bed is $780. Whereas units, 1-bedroom unit is still expensive in Canberra, is $500. 2-bed is $590 unit and 3-bed unit is $680. So normally 3 students actually take 1 unit and they used to live in their own rooms and they have 2 bathrooms or 3 bathrooms sometimes, depend upon where you are living, and they can actually share this accommodation. So it's actually, people are scratching their heads. What's the problem? That the rental market is quite different. As soon as you put the rental on the market, and there was actually the time that people used to come in great numbers to take the rental from you, and they actually fill in the application and you provide online that it is actually application is done and we are actually finalizing our tenant. And there was always a time that you could not find easily the rental in Canberra. Right now, there are tons and tons of properties on the market, and the marketplace is showing that the prices are still there. After a few weeks or after like a month or so, the prices are keep declining and they are not being leased by the tenants. So this is quite alarming for the investors who have got so many properties to rent, because that is one of the things they have to be concerned about, because they need to pay their mortgages and they need to make some money from those properties. If the properties are not rented for a month or so, they have to pay the mortgage and all the other expenses relevant to that property. So we discussed today about why the rental market in Canberra is declining compared to the rest of Australia, and what is and which city is right now at the top of the rental market. It's none other than Sydney. So thank you so much for listening to this vlog. And we discussed about one of the burning issues right now in Canberra, that the market is declining and people are not leasing the number of the houses, apartment and townhouses on the market available right now compared to last year. And my name is Adil. I would love to listen to any of your comments. If you have any questions, I would love to answer those questions. Thank you so much for listening to this vlog. Bye-bye.